neurologist in Switzerland has taken an electrode in this area, and he'll apply the current that's about 1/100th of a 60-watt light bulb. When he flips the switch on, boom, they're out of body. They can be above, they can be hovering high. Turn the switch off, they're back in. So you're going up and down, kind of like the elevator out there, you know, up and down out of your body.
I want to do that.
Very
Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Alexis for anybody who doesn't know. Welcome if you're new, or welcome back if you have been here before. I am the author of A Journey into Truth, Unveiling Life Secrets for Truth Seekers. This book talks all about the last 6 years of my life, the adventures I've been on, and all kinds of life experiences and awarenesses I've come to because of the studies that I've been on and the adventures I've been on. If you want more information on that book, you can find it on my website at www.vibratecreate.com or on my Instagram at Vibrate2Create. Here on Vibrate to Create, I talk about all things spiritual and metaphysical. I also talk about my own life experiences, my life philosophies, and awarenesses I've come to. I also make reaction videos to spiritual teachers, spiritual teachings, sometimes inspirational videos, and I also sometimes make entrepreneurial videos letting you know how to self-publish your own book. If you're interested in that kind of content, click the subscribe button or hit the notification bell to be notified of when I post new videos so you never miss a video. So today I'm not exactly sure what video I'm going to be reacting to or what videos I'm going to be reacting to, but I know I want to look up out-of-body experiences. So that's what I typed into YouTube, and I found this video called Out-of-Body Experiences Explained. It was uploaded in 2014 and it's only about 9 minutes long. If you would like to see the whole video, you can find the links in my bio or in my description below.
There's actually very little to no controversy in the neurologic circles about out-of-body experiences. One of the remarkable things is that they're actually very common. 1 in 20 people are going to have an out-of-body experience in their lifetime. So if you look around you, there's quite a few people in this room. In fact, oftentimes when I speak, people will come up to me afterwards and say, geez, I had one of those, I don't really told anybody about it. So feel free to do that if you choose. But why are they so common? Well, first off, they happen commonly during syncope. That is simple fainting, harmless fainting. About 15% of people who faint will have an out-of-body experience during that faint. And it can be, you know, I have one subject who was a jet fighter pilot, and he was making a sharp turn, and he began to get syncopal, and boom, he was suddenly flying his jet from above the cockpit. He actually became a neurologist after that. But most of, or many of the out-of-body experiences actually happen when we blend waking and REM consciousness. There are 3 states of consciousness that we have. You know, the brain's only got 3 choices. It can be awake, like many of you seem to be, and there's 2 conscious states of sleep. There's the non-REM sleep, and there's the REM sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep. And the hallmarks of that are profound visual activation, activation of the limbic system, and our emotional. Out-of-body experiences is actually part of the REM system.
But why would you have this sensation of you're hovering above your body looking back down on it?
Well, they're all different. You can have very many different kinds of out-of-body experiences. You can be looking from behind. There are none that I'm aware of where you're down below on the ground. You can be off to the side, you can be behind, you can be in front, you can be on top. It's very common to be above, and that's a question I think needs some further thought. But the important thing is, for example, Ulf Blank, a neurologist in Switzerland, has taken an electrode in this area, and he'll apply the current that's about 1/100th of a 60-watt light bulb. When he flips the switch on, boom, they're out of body. They can be above, they can be hovering high. Turn the switch off, they're back in. So you're going up and down, kind of like the elevator out there, you know, up and down out of your body.
I want to do that.
Very, and we've known this for a long time, and we've known this since the 40s when Melvin Penfield stimulated the temporal area and produced out-of-body experiences during neurosurgery. So we know that these can be done under very non-spiritual and threatening context. In fact, when we looked at our 55 people who've had a near-death experience and looked at their out-of-body experience, they were as likely to have an out-of-body experience during REM intrusion, that is when REM and waking consciousness were blending, as they were to have it during the near-death experience itself.
Okay, Peter, do you accept this explanation of out-of-body experiences?
Not much. And there's certain things I don't like about it, and there's certain things which I go along with. First of all, they are very common, as you say, no doubt about that. And also, ordinary people will have out-of-body experiences. Those, to me, aren't terribly interesting. What are interesting to me are the out-of-body experiences that you have during a cardiac arrest. Because remember I said that you have to know what the brain state was, and in cardiac arrests on the whole we do know what the brain state is, particularly if they are in people who are in a medical facility of some sort. Now there are a lot of accounts of these, and one would normally think, okay, the person comes out of their body and then goes down the tunnel or something. It's not quite like that. They come out of their body and they perceive what is going on around them. Now this is very important if your brain is not functioning, or certainly as far as one can get to it from the medical data, it's not functioning. But that's the first thing which is interesting. The second thing is they can get veridical or true information of the environment around them. Now if that is true, then it suggests that mind and brain can separate. So that's the first point. And so you have to look at these ones very carefully, because there is nothing in our current science which suggests that mind and brain can separate, because our science says that mind is created by the brain. So you need to look at these experiences. So the first thing is, can they get true information? The next thing about the experiences is that they don't only get information from where they are in the OR room. They get it also by going through walls and hearing conversations from other people. If you look at the accounts, then you will see that the people whose conversations they heard when they were unconscious, apparently, were in different rooms, and there was no way that they could hear it. Now that's the data. Now you have to interpret it. Well, there'd been one or two attempts.
I think what he's trying to say is the psychical awareness, the consciousness that understands what's going on even though the person is not actually awake. And so they hear these conversations and they're like, they wake up and they're like, I heard you said this. And then the people are like, oh, I did say that. But you weren't awake. It's pretty cool to me. I find that so interesting because it's the consciousness. It's the soul that is not inside of the body, outside of the body, while the body is still alive. So interesting, so cool.
To do this, one of the things that people, when they come out of their body, say is that if there is an object here, you can see its top and its sides. That's all right, but you can see its bottom.
So that's why I find it so interesting when people are like, there's no such thing as psychics. And then you have this evidential like research letting you know like it's possible, and there are doctors who are trying to understand this phenomenon and this what is actually happening when this happens.
At the same time. Now that's not okay. And if you are out of your body, you shouldn't be able to go through a wall, because none of us can. So that's not okay either. So what are these people really saying? And there are one or two people who are suggesting that maybe they're in a 5-dimensional reality. In other words, it's an extra dimension that will allow you to see tops and bottoms of things and will allow you to go through walls. So,
this is so cool.
It's just another way of thinking about these phenomena and just taking them for what they are and saying, okay, what actually do they mean? So although the standard view would be, well, I can explain this in many different ways, but if you actually just stick to the data and see what it shows, then it raises some really interesting questions.
I want to come back to Kevin. Okay, what about these stories of people apparently hearing something that's happening in another room?
Too.
I mean, their body isn't even in that other room, and then they report apparently what this conversation was.
Not much, in a much less appealing accent, I might say. First off, let's look at the data, because we really need to look at the data. The data isn't set in stone. In fact, there's a lot of ways in which people are aware of what's going on around them, and yet they appear dead. For example, if you have a cardiac arrest, what happens to your eyes? They open. If you see someone has a cardiac arrest, watch. You're not watching.
I deal with them every week. They never open. They're always closed. That's the one thing I can assure you of.
That's because you're not looking at the right place.
That's all I do.
If you study these and do recordings of during cardiac arrest, what
people think they know everything.
Anesthesiologists do, what happens is that
and yet they can't even explain what's going on here.
Up, and the
like
eyelids are
nobody can understand the
open and
full
half
spectrum.
closed. And then during the course of things, actually the eyelids will come down. So the initial movement's up and then it comes down, and they're looking around. So people are actually taking in a lot more visually and through their sound than you may think. Now, what's one of the first neurologic things that is damaged during lack of blood flow to the brain? It's memory structures. And that's actually one of the last things to recover as well. The memory system is very, very activated during these times of crisis to the brain. Now, how we, bring memory in, is a very complex problem. There's a mountain of scientific evidence that shows that our memory is very fallible, and it's very suggestible, and it's very malleable. What someone may have said, as you heard in another room, can be incorporated into memory as a direct experience.
I think this is really good, though, that he's kind of questioning this idea of, is it psychical awareness, or is it that the memory is kind of aware, even though our consciousness is not in our body. I don't know how to describe this specifically, but what I'm saying is more, it's good to question things. I'm always kind of questioning and not always just taking what I hear as the truth. But I also think it's so good to have scientists who are actually wanting to understand, or actually wanting to peek into what is the capabilities of the mind and what is the capabilities of consciousness. What is the origin of consciousness? Is the mind connected to the consciousness? Is the consciousness connected to the body? Is it outside of can it be outside of the body? Can it interpret information or go through walls? Or but I think it's so good to see open-mindedness and like a try to understand, a questioning. And that's kind of how modern science began, isn't it? A questioning of what are the beliefs we already have, or what are the beliefs that the whole society is saying is the absolute truth. Is there actually a realer, deeper truth? And from that happened lots of the modern medicine and lots of the modern ideas about cellular structures, and then physics, and then the idea of energy, and the idea of, all these things that came out of these people who were innovative and ready to learn more and ready to explore what has not been explored yet. And so I think it's really good when people are open to learning, and open to listening, and open to maybe understanding something that they have not been taught is actually real or true, and it's not just all magic and rituals and crystals. Some people are like, ew, that's dumb, like you're delusional. And I'm just very open, like, okay, maybe not. It's not my thing, but cool. Tell me your ideas. But yeah, I think it's really good that he's questioning, and I think it's also good that they're having open-minded conversation about what is possible and what it actually is. So there's more videos here about out-of-body experiences and hallucination.
The number one question I get is how to play up.
And I also don't think there is a definite answer, and even if someone tried to explain non-physical with physical, it would be really hard, because they're two different dimensions of reality, two different understandings of reality. And so it just boggles my mind when people are like, oh, psychics are like frauds and they're just trying to take your money. Yes, that is the case in some cases, when there is some people who have maybe desires to create more money for themselves, and not necessarily an empathy or an understanding for other people. Yes, that is the case. But I have been trained among psychics where I got to see firsthand where this is actually real and these things are actually happening. And also I've had many experiences where I just knew something was about to happen, then it happens, or I just know like I'm going to be doing this, and then I end up doing it, or I know I should not be doing something and sometimes I will do it anyways, even though I know intuitively we should not be going that way, and it doesn't work out that well. So I'm like, I knew it, I should have not done that. But yeah, so I have no doubts that it's possible to actually leave your body or to experience what it's like to be non-physical. I feel like I have had some experiences like that, but I don't know if I would necessarily classify it as an out-of-body experience, because I still felt like I was kind of in my body, but I was experiencing in a whole different state of awareness. I write a little bit about it in my book, and so if you want to learn more about it, you can look it up in my book. This will be the last video for this small little video here, because I don't want it to be too long. So if you want to learn more about out-of-body experiences, go do your own research, guys. Knowledge is power.
Very dramatic sort of hallucination, which can feel very frightening or uncanny, is seeing oneself. Seeing oneself can occur in various ways. Perhaps
this idea kind of brings up this topic that I talk about a lot, is like, am I my body? Am I the skin and the face and the hands? Is this the consciousness that makes Alexis? Or are they two separate things? And does the non-physical, does that live on after this physical body is not here anymore? I would argue yes, based on the experiences I've had.
And with the surgeon I described in Musicophilia, who was hit by a lightning bolt, he was thrown backwards, and then he said he seemed to be moving forward slowly, about 7 or 8 foot above the ground, and looking down, and there he saw his own motionless, inanimate body, and someone applying CPR. Other people have had experiences like this associated with blood loss, a drop of blood pressure, sometimes associated with various drugs. One friend of mine has a vivid memory of an out-of-body experience which she had more than 50 years ago. She was in labor, and labor pains were very severe, and as was done in England 50 years ago, she was offered some heroin for pain. She took the heroin, and as it took effect,
heroin? Is that what you said?
She seemed to move out of her body.
What? Of course she would. No.
Of the delivery room.
Did you really just say that?
Leaving her body and the pain down there. But her consciousness, her center, seemed to be up here. After about 2 hours, as the heroin ran out, she oozed back into the body and its pain.
So interesting. I could like watch these videos all day and learn about it. I love hearing about like metaphysics and just what is possible with the mind. I love it. I love it. So if you guys are interested, keep looking into it, because it's really cool stuff. I find it really cool. Some people are really scared by it, but I'm like, what? I want to know. I want to know all of it. Alright, so that'll be it for today. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comments below. You can send me a message at vibrate2create@gmail.com if you would like to let me know something to react to next. If you have a cool video you'd like to see me react to, send that to me. You can find me on Instagram at Vibrate2Create. I hope you guys are enjoying this reaction series. There is a playlist on my channel if you want to see all the reaction videos I've done before. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining me.